The 2023 Yankees were supposed to be a World Series contender, but then their season turned into an absolute disaster. Just look at this. The Yankees' opening day payroll sat around $275 million, a number beaten by only one team, the New York Mets. Despite this large disparity, it was the Yankees who began the season with the higher odds to make the playoffs and win the World Series. However, both teams' seasons ended in disaster. And while the Mets spent more money to produce a worse record, the Yankees' record was their worst in over 30 years. As Aaron Judge said before the season ended, changes are desperately needed. After all, it was only a year and a half ago when the Yankees were the best team in baseball. Now, I want to thank today's sponsor, Raycon. Whether I'm lounging around, listening to music, walking my dog, or watching baseball, you'll see me using my pair of Raycon Everyday Earbuds. These compact earbuds provide clear, noise-isolating sound for up to 8 hours on a singular charge, and the custom gel tips allow for a perfect in-ear fit. The IPX6 water-resistant coating not only protects against the rain, it allows me to not worry about sweating when I go to the gym or go on a run. It's features like these that have earned the Everyday Earbuds tens of thousands of 5-star reviews, and that's without mentioning the great reviews for Raycon's additional products, including their new line of Raycon Home and Raycon PowerTech products, such as their Magic 180 cable and faucet filter. With the holiday season underway, Raycons make a great affordable gift for family and friends. In fact, if you click the link in the description, you'll find Raycon is having an early Black Friday sale with 20% off everything and select products up to 50% off. So to recap, get an early start on holiday sales by shopping Raycon's early Black Friday sale today. Go to buyraycon.com/sportstorm to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. Link in the description.
Well, here is Stanton. He has the tying run. LeMahieu at third and Judge at first.
High drive, right field. Hernandez back. See ya! A game-tying 3-run home run.
At the 2022 All-Star break, the Yankees' first half win-loss percentage was the 5th best in team history. And what did the top 4 all have in common? They won the World Series.
And the 1-2. Drill deep to left field. There it goes! See ya! And the Yankees have come back to win it. 6-5.
Now, even though this team was being led by a player undergoing a historic season, of course I'm talking about Matt Carpenter, this team needed reinforcements at the trade deadline. So they acquired outfielder Andrew Benintendi while also moving on from the underperforming Joey Gallo. Then they added rotation depth with the addition of Frankie Montas. But at the same time, they controversially traded away Jordan Montgomery for center fielder Harrison Bader, who was on the injured list and wasn't expected to return until September. As the saying goes, you can never have too much pitching. So trading away a left-handed starter who clearly had value on a playoff roster was a questionable decision to say the least. Nonetheless, they ended the regular season with 99 wins and a division title. However, in the second half, the Yankees were barely a .500 team as offensive production dropped significantly. Plus, many players found themselves on the IL, such as Anthony Rizzo, Matt Carpenter, Andrew Benintendi, and DJ LeMahieu. Fortunately, many of these guys returned for the ALDS, allowing them to squeeze past the Guardians into the next round. Although, if the Yankees could barely beat the Guardians in 5 games, how are they going to compete with the American League's best team, the Houston Astros? Well, to keep it simple, they couldn't.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Judge on the ground. Presley's got it. Easy flip. Ball game over. And the Houston Astros win the American League pennant. A dominating performance and a dominating postseason for the Astros.
The Yankees were eliminated by the Astros in 2017 and 2019, but this loss was the most humiliating. A 4-game sweep where the Astros outclassed them in every way. At least that was the opinion of Garrett Cole. Clearly, work needed to be done ahead of 2023. Of course, the first order of business was to re-sign MVP Aaron Judge no matter the cost. Fortunately, while Arson Judge made his way to San Francisco along with Carlos Correa, Aaron Judge re-signed with the Yankees along with Anthony Rizzo. Still, they needed to address their bullpen depth, the hole in left field, and what to do at shortstop and third base, two positions with players who were under major scrutiny throughout 2022. Well, GM Brian Cashman and the Yankees decided to go a different route by signing starting pitcher Carlos Rodon to a 6-year deal. Health permitting, the trio of Cole, Rodon, and breakout star Nestor Cortez, along with Luis Severino and Frankie Montas, made this arguably the league's best rotation. Now, as exciting as these moves were, it was clear the Yankees made the decision to focus on star power rather than depth, as apart from Tommy Kahnle, no other major signings were made. This was despite the implication from owner Hal Steinbrenner that the Yankees were not done in the free agent market. So they had to rely on prospects to balance out this roster. Fortunately, number 5 prospect Anthony Volpe won the starting shortstop job, and fellow top prospects Oswald Peraza and Jason Dominguez weren't far away from permanent big league roster spots. However, this farm system lost some depth back in 2022 when the Yankees traded 8 prospects in midseason deals. Notably, 7 of them were pitchers, including 4 who ended up pitching at least 10 starts in 2023. Of course, that's the risk you take to compete for a championship. But with long-term injuries to Montas, Kahnle, and Rodon, along with the fact this team was filled with expensive aging players, demonstrated the crazy high volatility of this roster. On one hand, they could emulate their historic first half of 2022, but on the flip side, they could repeat their second half mediocrity. Well, as the season began, the concerns of repeating the latter were becoming true.
2-2, and Josh sends this one in the air right field. Cabrera going back at the wall, gone! And he went, that is strike 3. And 39,000 plus can go home happy after a 15-2 whooping of the Yankees.
The Yankees ended April with a 15-14 record following a 13-run loss to the Rangers. However, their loss on May 1st was not only more frustrating, but more telling of the messy situation this team found themselves in. Heading into the 9th inning, the Yankees were up by 2 runs as Domingo Germán was on his way towards a complete game shutout. He ended up allowing a hit to Stephen Kwan, so manager Aaron Boone decided to put in closer Clay Holmes. That's when everything fell apart, as the Yankees lost their lead. After groundouts from Gleyber Torres and DJ LeMahieu, all hopes rested on Willie Calhoun, a player with a sub-500 OPS. Oh wait, sorry, a pinch hitter actually replaced him. Aaron Hicks, a sub-400 OPS hitter. Now, the ability to hit in the clutch wasn't the Yankees' problem. It was the fact that injuries made them rely on underperforming players. By May 1st, 5 Yankees had a WRC plus over 100, meaning their overall offensive value was above league average. But 4 of these 5 players had already dealt with some sort of injury, joining Harrison Bader, who hadn't even played a single game in 2023. As you'd expect, Judge's absence was the most impactful, but I don't think anyone could have predicted the severe consequences of his 2-week-long absence. Judge was sidelined with a hip injury on April 27th. Check out the Yankees lineup the following day. The lack of depth is astounding. This was why the Yankees fell out of a playoff spot by the time Judge returned on May 9th. Sure, it was still early in the season, but how could a $275 million roster be so devoid of roster depth? Well, as The Athletic's Brendan Cuddy put it, this is a team built on best case scenarios, and as far as health, it's been almost all worst case. According to Brian Cashman, every GM's fear is for their roster to be wrecked by injuries early into the season. Still, he dismissed the critiques of this volatile roster given their elite potential when healthy. But that didn't change the fact the Yankees weren't doing enough to compete in their ultra-competitive division. If that didn't change soon, the Yankee season could become unsalvageable. Fortunately, by May 9th, Judge and Bader were back on the roster, with Bader himself saying he wasn't worried about the Yankees' place in the standings because it was still early in the season. Well, thanks to the comeback of Aaron Judge, Bader's optimism turned into reality.
Drilled deep to left field. There it goes. See ya. The Yankees lead 7-6. A two-run bomb by Judge. High fly ball, right field and deep. On the track, at the wall. See ya. A big two-run home run by Anthony Rizzo. High fly ball, center field. Kiermaier looks. See ya. Another one over the batter's eye. A monster shot by Judge. And boy, did the Yankees need it.
After a win against the Dodgers on June 3rd, the Yankees were 10 games over 500 with possession of a wildcard spot. Offensively, this was a much different team compared to the month prior. In particular, this team's slugging ability skyrocketed, largely thanks to the return of Aaron Judge. In his case, 13 was his lucky number, as in the 23 games following his return from injury, he hit 13 home runs and had an OPS of 13-13. Now, this is a stat line Judge had pulled off before, but since 1901, only 7 Yankees had replicated or exceeded this stat line. It seemed Judge was on his way towards another historic season. However, on a team level, there were still some concerns. Through June 3rd, 7 Yankees had at least a 100 WRC+. However, only 3 of these players had participated in more than half of the team's 60 total games. As for the other 4, Stanton was still on the IL, while Bowers, Allen, and Bader weren't exactly reliable candidates to continue their form for an entire season, especially in the case of Bader. As you can imagine, it's not ideal to rely on such a small group of players for success. In fact, on May 27th, the Yankees nearly lost one of their best players, Anthony Rizzo, but fortunately, he was back later in the week. Combine this close call with the impending returns of Stanton, Donaldson, and Canely at the beginning of June, perhaps injury luck was finally heading in the Yankees' favor. Well, unfortunately, there's a reason why I chose the date June 3rd.
Crack down the line. Back to the corner goes Judge. It is caught by Aaron Judge. Full speed into the fence. Thankfully, it gave a little bit. Catching the ball and just blowing up the bullpen fence.
While everyone was paying attention to what Judge did with his glove, the real story was what happened in his right cleat. He injured his right big toe, and it was later revealed he tore a ligament in that toe. Once again, the Yankees lost Judge to injury, but this time he was going to be out much longer than 2 weeks. To put it simply, no one on this team could replicate the production of Judge, so they needed to rely on guys like Rizzo, Torres, Stanton, Donaldson, and LeMahieu. Well, a month later at the All-Star break, not only were the Yankees out of a wildcard spot, they were one of the league's worst offenses following the injury to Judge. Oh, and those 5 players I mentioned a second ago? Yeah, they didn't play anywhere near the level they needed to. Although, there is something I found that's quite intriguing. In June, the Yankees underperformed their expected stats by quite a lot. Expected stats such as expected batting average and expected slugging percentage use exit velocity and launch angle to provide a more indicative picture of a player's skill, or in this case, a team's skill. In June, the Yankees' .208 batting average was 32 points lower than their .240 expected batting average, the largest difference of that month. Although the real problem was the difference in regular and expected slugging percentage. Their .379 slugging percentage was among the league's lowest, while their .426 expected slugging percentage was the 9th highest. Not only was this the largest difference of the month, it was the 4th largest of the entire season. Digging a bit deeper, some of this can be attributed to a decreased number of hard-hit batted balls turning into hits, which is a batted ball with an exit velocity of at least 95 miles per hour. The team batting average on hard-hit batted balls fell from around 500 to just over 440, tying for the 4th lowest monthly batting average on hard-hit balls in 2023. Now, I don't want to label the Yankees as simply unlucky, but overall, this was the worst time for so many hard-hit balls to not turn into hits. Moving on to the pitching side of things, the situation was a bit better. However, the team's top 10 ERA was actually the result of an elite bullpen and a mediocre rotation. Sure, Domingo Germán pitched a perfect game, and Clark Schmidt drastically improved following a terrible start to the season. But this rotation needed more reliable starters to pair with Garrett Cole. Fortunately, Carlos Rodon finally made his Yankees debut in early July, and with Judge set to return before the trade deadline, there was hope this team could turn it around. Well, at least that's what Yankees fans hoped for.
Santander to right. Santander to right. And this baby's gone.
In Judge's return game on July 28th, the Yankees lost to a walk-off home run, lowering their playoff odds to a season low of 27.7%. Still, a 3.5-game deficit wasn't insurmountable, especially with the return of Judge. So, with the trade deadline just days away, the Yankees had the chance to right their wrongs from the previous offseason. Well, they acquired reliever Kenyon Middleton, and that was it. I mean, they also acquired pitcher Spencer Howard, but he didn't play a game for the Yankees in 2023. Here's the thing. Following the return of Judge, they were never going to sell, and there were likely too many holes on the roster to address. Still, this didn't make the frustration of fans any less valid, and as days passed, it only got worse. The day after the deadline, starting pitcher Domingo Germán was placed on the restricted list to pursue treatment for alcohol addiction, as it was reported he'd shown up to the ballpark intoxicated and had been involved in a confrontation with multiple teammates. He didn't pitch for the rest of the season. Later that week, the reason for Anthony Rizzo's awful slump was revealed. He had unknowingly played with post-concussion syndrome for over 2 months. How does something like this get missed? Well, according to Rizzo, no one missed anything. Back in May, he said he passed the concussion test and felt fine after a few days of rest. While there were some random spurts of grogginess over the next couple months, this can easily be attributed to the grind of the season. Also, as Rizzo said, players are bred to not come up with excuses or go to the training room on a precautionary basis, or else half the team would be on the bench. In fact, it was the training staff who came to Rizzo for more tests, which led to the discovery. Regardless of how it happened, Rizzo's massive decline severely impacted the trajectory of this team, a trajectory that continued to spiral downwards through the rest of the year. During this time frame, Rodon and Cortez went back on the IL, Rizzo was shut down for the year, Donaldson was released, and the team underwent a 9-game losing streak, their longest in over 40 years. Before September even began, the Yankee season was over. Although, with nothing to play for, this allowed a new group of players to showcase their talent. In September, many young players either made their big league debuts or were given more playing time. Austin Wells and Michael King both made lasting impressions that should earn them larger opportunities in 2024. But the player who made the biggest impact was Jason Dominguez. After years of hype, the Martian finally made his big league debut, and he did not disappoint. In fact, he became just the 19th player since 1901 to hit 4 home runs in the first 7 games of a career. But then, unfortunately, after just 8 games, it was announced he needed to undergo Tommy John surgery, keeping him out until likely the summer of 2024. Like the Yankees, Dominguez's season ended in disappointment. But while there's a bright future for him, can the same be said for the Yankees? Well, the rotation is in need of some reinforcements, and despite how great the bullpen was, it's clear they can't rely on everyone to make it through a full season. The Yankees have been linked to starting pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the most exciting name on the market, not named Shohei Ohtani. But will they pay him the $200 million contract he's likely to receive? Perhaps they use more of their money for offensive upgrades. To put it simply, this offense couldn't really do much apart from hit home runs. Given the configurations of Yankee Stadium heavily favoring left-handed hitters, there should be a preference to sign left-handers. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is on the market, but if they don't sign him, Cody Bellinger would be a great fit too. Or if they want to go a bit cheaper, the contact-hitting 25-year-old Korean outfielder Jung-Hoo Lee is set to join MLB this offseason. These are just some of the major decisions GM Brian Cashman and the rest of the Yankees front office have to make. Whatever they do this offseason, they can't go into next season expecting their fortunes to change. Sure, injuries affected the Yankees more than the vast majority of teams, but with how competitive the AL East has become, the Yankees can't take any chances. I believe the Yankees can transform back into a playoff caliber team, but they could just as easily find themselves in limbo for the foreseeable future. With free agency having just opened up, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for watching.